All right, the next performer coming to the stage, in your, what are they, brochures, your pamphlets, your welcome, your programs, each performer has a little bio, and this performer's bio is really short, but it says so much to me. Like, this next performer is like an OG, like, when it comes to like the approach. So like, in her bio, she says she's been making noise about being pro-choice on the internet since AOL charged $3.50 for an hour. I'm like, whoa, those are credentials. But at the same time, I'm like, I could have hooked you up with some free hours. Like, I had all these CDs at home. You could have borrowed some. All right, please help me welcome to the stage Michelle Kinsey Bruns.
Hey, y'all. You're beautiful. I love that all of you are here. So, some of you have heard me talk about my abortion because it's a thing I do. It's a thing I do. It wasn't always a thing I did, but now it's a thing I do. And tonight the challenge was a little bit different, though. Tonight the challenge was to stand on the stage with funny people and witty people and clever people and not have it just be some sad sack drama. So I did my best. But the thing about sad sack drama is that sometimes it manages to be funny just the same. So, this is a different version of the same old story I've done been telling. So I woke up late for my abortion. This is not the only reason that I was and am unfit for motherhood, but it's on the list. It's certainly on the list. I just turned 18. And I'd also just quit a bullshit $5 an hour job working I was a typesetter, again, old. I was a typesetter at the local suburban newspaper in Atlanta, Georgia. And among other things, that meant that I transcribed school lunch menus into a green screen computer so they could run in the paper, and $5 an hour. And got sent home once or twice for wearing shorts that were too short. And this was a bullshit-ass job. So I quit it. Oh, and if you were good at typing the school lunch menus, you got to come in on Saturdays and do additional hours laying out just 1 million of the giant fat Sunday circular, the ad circulars, grocery stores, used car dealerships. It was fascinating work. That was your reward for being good at that job. You got to come in and do more of it on Sunday. So I was good at that job, but I hated it. So I quit. I just quit. I quit this job that I probably needed because it was usually mindless, always endless, and so badly compensated. So that's another reason that I wasn't, at the time, really cut out to be anyone's mother. That was not the responsible choice. But there are other reasons, too. For one thing, I was crazy. I don't think it was my fault. But I was. I'd grown up as a kid with a mean drunk of a stepfather who enjoyed passing his time by beating me if he wasn't beating my mother. And I left when I was 15, and I moved hundreds of miles away. And for several years thereafter, after leaving at 15, I stayed on this kind of movable spectrum of being, from being furious to being just suicidal. And that is where I was just less than 3 years later when I learned that I was pregnant. People, I think, should have the right to get over their own childhoods before being responsible for somebody else's, right? I was not over mine. Not nearly over it. So once I was able to spend just a minute getting past the idea of wanting to die rather than be pregnant, I thought, oh, well, there is another option. Let's get an abortion. I could have an abortion. I should have an abortion. And so I scheduled one. And then on the day of, I woke up late. Because the thing about being unemployed is even if you're so broke that you're eating Velveeta on white rice, you still never have to be anywhere at 7 a.m. So I woke up late the day of my abortion. And so I called the clinic and I tried to talk them into letting me come in, I'm up now, I'm happy to come, And, but they said no. There had to be a certain amount of time between making the appointment even if it's remaking the one that you slept through, and actually coming in for the visit. And I didn't have a window left that day, and they only did procedures on certain days, so I had to wait. I had to wait and sit at home and stew and just pregnant. And remember, pregnant, little furious, little suicidal, and just waiting for days to be able to fix the only one of those three things that felt within my control. But it was only after I had accepted that first available appointment that they gave me the next week or whenever it was, I realized I had a scheduling conflict, and that was that the day after my new appointment, I was scheduled. I was supposed to be driving my boyfriend's sister to Dothan, Alabama to buy new boobs. I didn't actually know her that well. She was a lot older than me, than my boyfriend, than we were. And she was dating this guy with a convertible car and some kind of a office job. And he was the primary cheerleader for her surgery, probably bankrolled the whole thing. Her life, just seemed really different and far away from mine. So we weren't really close. The only reason I got the job of boob chauffeur was that I didn't have a job, so I had the spare time to do it. Her plastic surgeon required someone to as an out-of-state patient, go with her, get her checked into the surgery, sign a piece of paper saying that I'm going to drive, I'm going to go do this, and to care for her for 3 days of recuperation time before she gets the all clear to go home. Because, sometimes complications arise. It's not that different from having an abortion, although an early abortion is much less invasive and much safer, just by the way. So all of this, she had all these requirements. She had to have a boob chauffeur, and I was unemployed, and so I went. And hence the drive, but okay, there was nobody else who was free to do it. It was going to be me. So on the day that I myself had doctor's orders to lay low, recovering from my own surgery the previous day, I found myself instead in a borrowed red BMW convertible that we borrowed from her boyfriend, speeding down 200 miles of road to Dothan, Alabama, armed with a bottle of 600 milligram ibuprofen and the biggest goddamn maxi pad you've ever seen in your life, wedged between my slightly traumatized parts and the leather seats of the borrowed red BMW convertible. So I got my pills, I got my pad. The other thing I had was a secret. She wasn't my friend. I didn't tell her that I had had an abortion the day before. I just did what I promised her I'd do. We drove to Alabama. I got her to her appointment, and we spent the next 3 days recovering from both of our surgeries in the hotel room. Because her breast augmentation was a much bigger physical, surgical deal than my abortion, it was my job to take care of both of us. It's what I signed up to do, and it wasn't that hard. She mostly slept, pain, sedatives, a little bit of both. And it was a relief when she was asleep, because it meant that I didn't have to pretend away my own cramps and my own blood. But at the end of 3 days, I felt good. I felt myself again. And so her surgeon gave her the all clear to go back home to Atlanta. Back in the convertible we went. By then I was really back to my own self. And so we broke some rules. Her boyfriend had told us, don't smoke in the fancy red convertible. But we did. We smoked all the way home. I believe we earned those cigarettes, the both of us. There's a hierarchy of abortion narratives in our culture. Nobody's written down the rules, but we all know what they are. There's good reasons for good abortions. Those are the ones where a person made all the right, good, proper, and correct choices, but something sad, regrettable, and tragic happened along the way. And there's the bad reasons for the bad abortions, where the person having the abortion was just lazy or irresponsible or scheming or slutty, something. And the fact is, I had good reasons, and I had bad reasons. I had been broken by a stepfather who punched and kicked and choked me, and a mother who couldn't or wouldn't protect me. So that's a good reason, right? Not to have another child, a child in the world. But I also had bad reasons. I had bad reasons like being kind of sketchy about my birth control pills. I didn't mean to be. I just can't remember to do a thing every single day. They tell you have to do it at the same time. Did you guys know that? If anybody didn't know that, you need to know that. Hormone levels can fluctuate even just within the course of a day. Take the pill, set a timer on your iPhone. I'm not good at it. I couldn't do it. I ended up pregnant. Slutty, lazy, irresponsible. And I was the kind of woman who'd sleep through her abortion appointment and drive a woman out of state to go get new boobs. So did I have a good abortion or bad abortion? I don't know. It's been 20 years since that drive, and what I have seen over and over since then is that for people who just don't believe that a woman has the choice, the right to determine the course of her own future, there's never going to be a story or a storyteller that is so pure of morals and flawless of character that that person and her story can't be dissected and questioned and dismissed and discarded. And because there's no story that's ever good enough for them, for you, wherever you are out there, because no story is ever going to be good enough, I think it's time that we who chose abortion stop trying to persuade anyone that our reasons were good enough. How about this? I didn't fucking want to have a baby, and no one has the right to make me. I've never spent one moment being sorry about having an abortion, never one. It's been 20 years, not 1 second. It gave me the chance to build a life of my own, a life on my own terms, and you can't control everything, and not every choice is going to be perfect, but to build a life on your terms, every person deserves that, every single one. All of us, all of you. The life I've made since then, since that drive, more than 20 years ago, has at times been so much bigger and fuller than white trash me or my poor messed up family ever could have dreamed of when I was a kid. I got an education and I built a career in a really cool field, and I have amazing friends and colleagues, and I have a man that I love stupid much. But also at times that same big full life that's been so big and full over the last 20 years has been so full of heartbreak and hurt that you can't even believe that the breath can still rise in your chest with the weight of the burden on your chest. But that's life. That's life. Life as the result of the choices you make. They're my choices. I have the right to make them good or bad. So do you. What's important isn't that I did everything right. Although that abortion, I did that right. But that nobody else got to write that story for me. I own my choices. I chose life. My life.
Michelle Kinsey Bruns.